Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you how to create this eyeshadow look using the Makeup Revolution DC Joker palette. And what I'll also be doing is swatching all of the shades and then just giving my final reviews about the palette overall at the end. So for this look using the Makeup Revolution Joker palette, I have obviously got the rest of my base makeup done, and to start the look off I'm going in with this yellow matte shade here, which is shade Stranger. I'm just taking a fairly good sized fluffy brush and just packing that all onto my brush, and what I want to do is just to get this on the kind of inner third of my eye, just into and above the crease. This is a really lovely yellow shade actually, because it can be quite difficult to find really nicely pigmented yellow shades. I do have a couple of palettes that have some solid yellows in, and this one I must say is also really good. It's not, like, as you can see, too neon or anything. It is really pigmented and it is laying down really nicely. So I'm happy with the placement of shade Stranger, and I'm just going to do exactly the same thing for my other eye. The next shade I'm using is this orange shade here, which has got a little bit of sparkle in. You can see they're just picking up on the camera. This is shade Surrender. I'm just going to use the same brush because I'm just going to be popping shade Surrender directly next to shade Stranger and just get those blended in. So again, just into and above the crease for this shade. I will say the sparkle in this shade definitely looks more sparkly in the pan or in the palette than it actually does on your eye. I don't know if that's because I'm using a fluffy brush and it can have a tendency to kind of remove some of that sparkle, but nonetheless, another really lovely pigmented shade and just blending ever so nicely into the yellow. I think the more you build it, the more you do get that little hint of sparkle. Now that those first two shades are all laid down and nicely blended, it's time to go in with the red shade here, which is shade Desire. This is just a nice red matte. And again, using the same brush, it doesn't matter that there's still a bit of orange left on here because it's only going to help kind of the blend when you're applying it anyway. And you probably guessed it, this is going to go in the last third of my eye. So exactly the same as the other shades, just into and slightly above the crease. I don't want to bring this out too far, but obviously if you were recreating this yourself, you could elongate it as much as you wanted. Before doing this kind of look and review, I wanted to test out this palette a few times. So I have done quite a few looks with it actually, which are all over on my Instagram, so that is in the description if you wanted to go and check out any of the other looks that I've done. I think I'm really happy with that placement on that eye, so I'm just going to go ahead and get the other eye done. Also, this red and this orange are really, really lovely to blend. And again, this is another really pigmented shade. Now we've got the yellow, red and orange shades all just nicely applied and nicely blended. It's just time now to go in and cut our crease. So for this, I'm using my Beauty Bay eye base. This is base 1. So now I've got that done on both eyes like so. I'm going to be going in with the first shimmer, and the first one I'm going in with is the lighter of the two kind of bluey grey shades, and it is this one here, which is shade Joker. This is a really gorgeous shade. Again, I've used this one quite a few times, and I'm gonna just pop a little bit on this flat brush first just to get the initial placement, and then what I will do afterwards is I'll just go in with my finger afterwards just to get a really vibrant shimmery pop of colour. I do really love the shimmers in this palette, this one and the darker grey, which is shade Ha Ha Ha, but I will say that my blue shade here has gone a bit like weird in the palette, but I'll talk about that a bit more later when I'm doing a bit more of the review. But this one's lovely, this really almost like a bluey silver shimmer. And I'm just gonna pop that probably about 2/3 of the way across my lid. Definitely want more of this shade than the darker shade. A little bit of fallout from this one, but nothing too annoying. It's not going to ruin my base makeup. So there's that. I will just pop a little bit on over the top with my finger just to give it a really bright pop. But there we go with that one. I'm just going to go ahead and get this eye done, of course. So there is both eyes done with shade Joker. And finally, just for the top lid, I'm going in with this dark grey shimmer here. This is shade Ha Ha Ha. And I'm just using the same brush as I used for shade Joker and just basically following the same method, popping it down with the brush first and then just popping on a little bit on top with my finger just for that added vibrancy. When I say vibrancy, it's like a grey, grungy shade, but just for that extra shimmery pop. So this is a slightly darker shade to shade Joker. They definitely look more similar on the eye than they do in the palette, but they are both really gorgeous shades. As you see, that nice dark and then just a little sweep over the whole lot, so you've got a nice seamless finish. Actually less fallout from this shade than the lighter shade, which is good. And then just this eye, exactly the same. So there is the upper part of this look all done, and all that's left to do now eyeshadow wise is just my under eye. And I'm going to be taking the first 3 shades that I used. So I'm going to be using Stranger, Surrender and Desire, just in the same order as the top of my eyelid. So just taking a much smaller brush this time, and I'm going to go in with shade Stranger first, and obviously the same order of working from lightest to darkest. So just pop a small amount just on the under eye, just about to the same point as you've got on your top lid, obviously to keep it nice and cohesive. And then back in with Surrender, which was that orange, just on the middle third of your eye. So even with these on my lower lash line, I'm not experiencing any real fallout, which is pretty good going. And then lastly, back in with Desire, and then just bringing that up to the top there. So there is the eyeshadow part of this all completed. Just to, of course, finish the eyes off, I'm going to be using a black eyeliner pencil just in my waterline and also a black mascara. For this, I've just got this black pencil from Primark, and then mascara, I've got my Maybelline Sky High mascara. So eyeliner is all done, and now of course just in with the mascara. The eyes are all done, and lastly, just to finish the entire look off, of course, I haven't forgotten about my lips, and I'm going to be using this Colourpop Lippie Sticks, and this is in the shade Who Run This. This is a really lovely, kind of like a reddy brown matte shade. Anyway, I thought it would just look absolutely perfect with this look. There we have the entire finished look. So I will just give you a close-up of the eyeshadow as always, so that you can see that in a bit more detail. So what I'll be doing now is I'm going to be swatching all 9 shades in this Makeup Revolution Joker palette, and then at the end I'll just give my kind of overall thoughts, reviews, opinions on the palette. So that is all 9 of the shades in this palette swatched. So starting at the top, we have got this kind of quite a light matte shade, and this is shade Smile. Underneath that is almost like a kind of midnight / royal blue shimmer. That is shade Crazier. I'll talk a bit more about that shade in a minute actually. Underneath that was the orange matte, just with those little sparkly flecks in. That of course was Surrender. Following underneath that, there is this really lovely kind of grapey, winey, purple matte shade. That is shade Power. We've obviously got the red matte shade, shade Desire. The yellow matte shade, shade Stranger. The darker of the two silvers, this is almost like, I don't know, like a nice really stark slate grey shimmer. That was Ha Ha Ha. A really bright, vibrant lime green matte shade, that is shade Happy Face. And then lastly was the lighter of the two silver shimmers, and that was shade Joker. So definitely a really lovely colour story, definitely giving me Joker vibes, you know, just from the shades themselves. So the thing I wanted to talk about for shade Crazier, and I don't know if this has just happened to me or whether this has happened to anybody else, but my shadow has gone really, really weird. Now, I have only used this shade once. I used a dry, clean brush, but it's almost like it's got really wet and it's all clumped together. And you can even see as well a little bit of pan showing underneath. And to say that I'm disappointed probably wouldn't be an understatement, because it's a really gorgeous shade. I really do love a blue eyeshadow. So yeah, definitely a bit disappointed that this has happened to me. The shade is semi-usable, but I don't know, it just feels a bit fragile and just a bit kind of gloopy and clumpy. But having said that, the rest of the shades are really great. What I do like, I don't know if you can still see, but all of the matte shades have got the Joker face imprinted in. I have used them all, so starting to wear away quite a bit now. And the mattes themselves are really lovely. They are really pigmented. I do have quite a lot of Makeup Revolution palettes, so kind of used to what their formulas are like, and this is definitely a good one. The other two shimmers are really nice. They are shimmery, soft, and just really lovely shades. And I think I mentioned as I was kind of doing the application of the eyeshadow is that there's like little to no fallout, which I think is actually really good. I do think that the shades themselves are really great, apart from obviously what's happened to me with shade Crazier, but the rest of them definitely make up for it, and I have got good use so far actually out of all of the shades. I think I mentioned I've done some looks already with this palette that will be over on my Instagram, so definitely go and check that out, as well as seeing all the other makeup looks that I do. We of course have to talk about the packaging. I mean, this is just so fun. The uni carton obviously matches as well, but I just think that this is really fun, cool packaging. I love that the Joker is metallic and definitely stands out against the rest of the packaging. The attention to detail has been actually really great with this palette, and yeah, I think that if you like this colour story, I would definitely recommend picking up this palette. It was the only one I picked up in their DC collaboration. I felt like the other two, I had palettes with quite similar colour stories in already, and this was the one that stood out to me just because it was a really great mix of bright, bold colours, but also some more like grungy, darker shades, which just really appealed to me. But I hope that you enjoyed my review of the Makeup Revolution DC Joker palette, and I hope that you enjoyed the look that I created as well. As always, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please do give the video a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you again in my next video.